Test, test, test 1, 2.
All right.
Test, test. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep.
Test, test, test. Could Miss Kinlaw say we can hear you? Okay. Just confirm. Got it. That's so good. Well, good morning, North Topsail. It's great to join you this way. This is going to be the first time that we here at WECT News that we know about are doing this virtual school visit program. And the advantage is we can't bring the Weather Center to you to help you with your meteorology unit, but you can come to us and it's cool. So I'm Gannon. I'm the chief meteorologist here at WECT News, and this is Kelly McGlynn, and she's one of our meteorologists as well. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
And Kelly's going to be helping us out with the tour and any questions you might have. The way I like to do it, I know you the same when we go visit schools, is we like to talk a little bit and then just field your questions. And so hopefully those can come and we can help out. So they're very excited to be first. That's awesome. So the first thing here that I wanted to show, I'll give you the microphone, Kel, if you want to add, is this satellite product that we use here to help study and, by extension, forecast the weather. So what we're looking at is the view from space of the Carolinas, and it's a visible product, so it works during the day. There are other satellite products that we can use that work on infrared wavelength that we can see the clouds at night. But this is a pretty cool shot here. So Kelly, what are we looking at here in terms of cloud cover?
So we look at our visible satellite. This is what we see with the naked eye. So this is what our satellite is picking up. You can see offshore here we have a few clouds bubbling up over the waters, but not much on land here. We have high pressure in control, and what high pressure does, if you guys have learned about this, it kind of squashes any chance for any clouds precipitation to develop. So high pressure is what we're seeing today. Nice clear skies, dry and sunny, much of what we like to see on a normal basis. But other than that, not much going on our visible satellite this afternoon. So that's just one of the products that we use here to forecast on a daily basis. And this is our radar. So with radar, those little green blurbs there showing up, that's what we pick up with rain. And then we have a mixed precipitation, which is sleet, freezing rain, that kind of stuff. And then the snow is the bluish, whitish color. So we have all different types of precipitation, especially here in the Carolinas. Not too long ago, we saw some snow. I don't know if North Topsail saw much snow last time. But we do get snow here, and we do also get freezing rain, sleet, that kind of stuff. But fortunately for right now, it's too warm for any of that. And our radar picking up on not too much across our area, just a few showers, well south of us in Florida, which won't be impacting us today.
Yeah, this product that we're showing you here, we show it on TV a lot. It's a composite or many different radars coming together. If you've ever, I know you guys are near Highway 17. If you ever take Highway 17 south, like toward Myrtle Beach, you pass a town called Charlotte. And in that town, that just happens to be where the individual radar that covers southeastern North Carolina is located. And so what you're looking at now, you see that little tail there, that little beam coming out of the radar tower? That's like an animation. That's basically a virtual representation of the radar beam that goes out from that tower. It's not satellite-based technology, it's ground-based technology. So there's a tower planted in the ground and it beams out, and if the microwave energy hits off precipitation like rain, sleet, snow. It gets beamed back to the radar, and you say, hey, there's something over here like a shower or a snow shower or a thunderstorm, and it would show up on radar. And not surprisingly, today we have a really clean radar in southeastern North Carolina. So what I used this morning and just what we were talking about, Kelly was talking about, is that composite radar across the eastern U.S. to show that, hey, maybe some other areas are not quite as dry, like places to our north and to our south. So we use satellites, we use radars to help forecast the weather. We use sensors like you guys are probably learning about, thermometers, anemometers, barometers. This would be a collection of reports from thermometers across southeastern North Carolina and northeastern South Carolina. And if you watch WECT News, we show this map a lot. I use it a lot in the morning because it's very important as a forecast is like, okay, I need the weather now and I need to know what it's going to be. Well, this is like, hey, what's it doing right now out my door? And you have to leave your house in the morning. So earlier, I should note, it was in the 30s, and now it's warmed up a great extent. The last thing we use to help forecast the weather is forecast models. And hey, we're using computers right now, so it's easy to just look maybe at arm's length to see the power of computers. We use computers as meteorologists in so much as all of the processes of the atmosphere that we know about can be boiled down to these pretty still complex mathematical equations, and there's a lot of physics that goes on, and then these equations are run through computers, because I could give you a math problem and you could do it maybe in a few minutes, but I could give a computer a math problem and it can do it in like a split second. And so these computer models, they help us crunch a lot of this data that goes into a forecast. And what we've asked this model to do here on TV is show precipitation trends. And so I showed this morning, and this just lapses or moves through the week and gives us an idea of how rain systems or snow systems, as it were, to the north would evolve and maybe give us a chance of showers. And when you add it all up, we create a forecast that's functional for TV. We usually go out 7 days, so we'll do that right now. And this is the forecast that you saw on TV this morning. So, and we'll probably run it again at noon because I don't see any reason to change it too much. It's a nice day, and temperatures are angling for the 60s when you leave school, when that last bell rings. Kelly, I'm going to give you the microphone as I manipulate the camera so we can give you guys a sense at the whole studio. This is just the forecast center, but there's a big studio around, so.
Yeah, so when you guys see us talking, we're here in the Weather Center. Right now we're talking to you on a little tiny video camera here. So Gannon's going to turn it, and as he turns it to his right, we're going to pan over, and now we're going to be looking at the anchor desk. So this is where the anchors sit in the morning, afternoon, evening newscasts. And what you can't see from that camera is that anchors scroll through the prompter, which is where they read the news every night, with a foot pedal. So when they're reading to you, they're controlling how fast, how slow they read, and they're doing that by using a foot pedal, which Gannon's showing you right now. It's kind of like a gas pedal. When you see your mom and dad in the car pressing the gas or brake, it's kind of something like that. They also have, their laptops here. If there's breaking news, we can get that into the newscast real quick. And you'll also start to see, again, if you turn that a little bit more, our news cameras. We have 4 of these in the studio. This is 3 out of the 4. And Gannon's turning it towards you right now. And they are off, but if you look at the top monitor there, that's where the prompter reflects off the screen. So that's where our anchors will read the newscast. And the bottom monitor, that's just kind of what you're seeing at home, so we know what's going on in proximity to where we're standing, especially for us in the Weather Center here. If we're covering a graphic, we need to move around, point out a storm that's popped up, etc. And that's mainly the main focus of where you see most of the newscast is at that anchor desk right there. So we'll keep going around. We have a few different spots in the studio where you may see sports being done or reporters standing in front of the wall over there doing their stand-ups or what they're talking about for their stories for the day. And I'm sure you see that big bright screen where Gannon's standing, and that's where we do most of our work on a daily basis. It's a hard screen, but it's green, and that's kind of where our graphics reflect off and what they see or what you see at home, but we can't see any of that behind us. It's just a big bright screen. However, we have something here in the control room called a chroma key, and that chroma key is what changes the green wall to what you see now back at home to the graphics that we show on TV. Now, since the wall behind that is green, we have two monitors on each side, which you can kind of see a little bit. We have one on our right side and one on our left side, so we can see what you see at home. And we also have one in front of the camera too. So we have three monitors all together, so we can know what we're pointing to, what we're talking about, what graphic we're on, and we can keep up to date on what we're showing you, especially when it's an active weather day and there's storms popping up, or we may see rotation on one of these storms that we need to point out specifically. So this is where we do most of our work on a daily basis. And when you see us on TV with all those big graphics behind us, we're standing in front of a big green wall and telling you the weather on a daily basis. So we'll continue to work this to the
Jesse too.
Oh, we're just gonna shout out to Jesse. There's Jesse. He's kind of recording all of this today since it's our first time here too. We're super excited about this virtual tour. So that's most of our studio, and we just have another little desk area where you may see a reporter do daily report time over time. But that's most of it. It may look different to what you see on a normal basis. So everything's kind of just in one big square studio. We have lots and lots of lights in here. Lighting is very important in a studio to make sure that you can see the best quality of what we show you on TV. So that's just a tour. Any more stuff that you want to go over before we get their questions?
You mentioned the light, lots of lights. We also wear these little microphones. I'm wearing one right now for Jesse's purposes. In terms of, he works in our promotions department, so we want to spread the word that we offer these virtual tours. And so he's capturing some of our sound right now through the microphone. This is a lot like the little microphone that we would wear when we do the weather. It's attached to a pack that's just attached to our person. So I just wear this on my belt, and that's good to go.
So that's a lav mic. That's called a lav mic, right? This is a stick mic.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then we also have what we call IFBs. They're little boxes.
Yeah.
And Gannon has
I'm not
on
wearing the box, but
a little earpiece.
I plug this into the box when I go on TV at noon, and this little earpiece is barely visible, and that's kind of the point. I mean, we don't want to hide it, but we don't want to stab your eyeball with it when we're on TV. It just kind of disappears in your ear, and that's if someone, say our news producer or someone wants to get a hold of us, especially because you mentioned, Kelly, that our anchors deliver the news through a teleprompter, but we don't use one. So we just start talking about the weather. We use our graphics. And so a lot of times we need to get a grounding of how long we have. So this is 90% of the time, it's like time cues. It's like, you got a minute left, you got 30 seconds left, etc.
And that's how we communicate with our producer. So say we have a tornado warning or a severe thunderstorm warning where we say, hey, you guys got to come to us next. They can hear us throughout, and they tell us, okay, you guys are up, you're ready to go, and that's when we pop right on TV.
Very cool. Well, I would open the floor to any questions you guys have about what we do here, or if we can help with your meteorology unit as well. We could certainly field those questions now. And I kind of had an idea that this was going to go to about 11:30, 11:35, because then we've got to break down for our midday newscast. And of course, you've got more school to have too. But we'd be happy to field your questions until then. So if you want to get on the chat, we could be on the lookout for those. Ms. Kinlaw says, sounds good. While you cook that up, I'll cook this up. This is something that I'm going to be showing at noon. This is weird because it's like reverse, almost like looking in the mirror. Yeah, really, really. But one thing, we didn't show the clicker. Let me show the clicker here. Because I'll use, So this right here is our remote control weather clicker. This is something else that we don't want to like throw at you when we're on TV, but we don't need to hide it either. It's just part of our job. This allows us, as we're either here at the Forecast Center or most of the time at the wall, go through our graphics regimen so we can tell our story with pictures, and as we're talking, we move the graphics along. And so this is one thing I'll be showing at noon, and this is it's a model. dirty little secret, we actually go inside and kind of tweak the model to make it fit our narrative, but we also use what the computers tell us. So it's kind of like a blend of experience and what the computers are telling us. But in any case, this is going to be temperatures and wind flow. Not sure if you can see that, but I wanted to articulate with the use of this graphic that we've got variable winds and temperatures in the 60s at 4 o'clock this afternoon. And since we go hour by hour, we'll do hopefully long after you've gone to bed, so you get a good night's sleep. Temperatures in the 40s to near 50 at midnight. One thing you may not be able to see, there's going to be a cold northerly wind blowing tonight. And then we'll finish things up with a cold trip to the bus stop for you tomorrow morning with temperatures in the 30s and winds out of the north. So we like to stop at times that are meaningful to people. 4 o'clock in the afternoon is usually just as school is wrapping up and activities are getting going. So we start there, stop at the end of the evening, and then we stop it again tomorrow morning when you want to get out and you want to get after it. So Ms. Kinlaw says, how long does it take for weather to change? That's a cool question. I would say that depending on how you measure it, the weather is constantly changing. There's always an imbalance to be offered by light versus darkness, how much sun is coming into the earth at any particular point. Are there clouds building? The earth rotates, of course, so in a given day, you're into sun at a different angle at a different time, and then of course the sun sets and it's dark, and so that would be the big driver is sunshine. How long that major weather patterns change is usually on the order of 2 to 3 days. We tend to settle into a stormy pattern and then get back to a more tranquil pattern in that type of time frame. What do you, after you finish a live broadcast, what do you do in the studio? Well, now we do this, so that's an answer. We also spend a lot of our time, I'll give you the mic, but I'm getting to the app stuff here.
Yeah.
I was going to show.
So I would say too, broadcast is the last thing we do in a shift usually. So we come in well before the shows even start. And we have a lot of pre-show, pre-work to do before the show starts. So we update 3 zones across Southeast North Carolina. So we have a coastal zone, a Wilmington metro zone, and an inland zone. So we forecast for all those 3 areas. And for all those 3 zones, we also do hourly forecasts, which include your temperature, your cloud cover, chance for precipitation, all of that. We also write a web story, so not only math and science are important to us, we also have to be good at writing and speaking too. Aside from that, we also need to make sure our captioning is done. So when you see words at the bottom of the screen, we make sure our captioning is done. We also have radio that we do. But the most important thing we do is update the app. And we also make videos too before and after shows. So when we're not broadcasting, if you need to know the weather in terms of what we're personally saying, you can go right to the app, and there's forecast videos that are sent out by all of us throughout the day. So Gannon's showing you the hour by hour forecast, and we do all of this before the show and also after the show too, because when we're on air, you know, it can change within just that short time period.
Yeah, that's well said. And this is a learning curve. I'm not sure how well you saw that, but basically it all comes down to the app. So it used to be if you wanted weather information before there was the World Wide Web, which was just a couple of short decades ago, and then before there was smartphones and apps, which was just like a decade ago. Now you need the weather when you want it. And so we are making sure that all of our products, including and certainly probably tops in terms of not the least of which, but is our WECT weather app. So we're cutting video, we're making sure the forecast is spruced up on all of those platforms. It's very bright in the studio right now. There are a couple of times of the day, to your point, where the lights do go off and we're like a few hours in between our traditional broadcasts. But I'll tell you what, when you add it all up, we do a lot of newscasts here. We start at 5 in the morning and go straight through 8 for a morning newscast. We have cut-ins at 9. Then we do another newscast at noon. Then what is it, Kelly? 4, 5, 6,
36, 7.
when you add
10,
5:30, yeah.
10:30, 11.
Yeah, and there are a lot of evening newscasts. So more, maybe not more times than not, but a large portion of the day, the lights are on in the studio and we are broadcasting. That's a cool question. What do we want to do? That's kind of how long do you stay in the studio? How long have you been a meteorologist? That's a cool question. Thank you. I became a meteorologist at the very tail end of 2003. So I call it 15 years. Kelly, you're a little younger, but you've been in it for a while, right?
2.5, almost 3 years. So I just graduated not too long ago. This is my first job in this field. And Gannon has certainly taken me under his wing, so I'm very thankful. This is my first job. And it can only go up from here, really.
Yeah, and we're thrilled to have Kelly here, and this is a great place to be a meteorologist as well. If you want to think about the different types of weather that you can experience, and then for us, we have to forecast. There's really not many areas of the country, just pick the country, say, where you can stand a legitimate chance to get hit with snow, thunderstorms, severe thunderstorms, and hurricanes in any given year. You say, well, okay, well, Florida gets a lot of hurricanes, but they never get snow, or hardly ever, especially South Florida. We could be meteorologists in the Great Plains, and you say, oh, that's a lot of severe weather. They get a lot of ingredients for tornadoes and thunderstorms, but Kansas is never going to get hit with a hurricane. So when you add it all up, we have a great variety of weather to offer here in North Carolina. So Kelly's been at it for a couple of years, but it's been an eventful couple of years for sure.
What was your longest day in the studio? I think that's an easy one.
What is your longest day? If you mean in terms of how long it's felt, we had a 4-day stretch during Florence where we were broadcasting uninterrupted. And so that was like, we're in the studio working, and then, gosh, where do we sleep? Across the building? Yeah, we stayed at a church here. So it was just, that was a long couple of days.
How long were you in the studio during Hurricane Florence? We had 80 plus hours of straight coverage for Florence. We worked about 12-hour shifts. So we were 12 hours on, 12 hours off. So, I mean, if you want to count that 80 plus hours as one really, really long day, then that would definitely be the longest day.
Yeah. I like, there's one question here. Why is the word weather called weather? I don't know the answer to that. Do you?
In terms, I mean, I guess if you compare that to climate, weather is something that changes daily. Climate's kind of what happens over a long period of time.
Right.
I guess that if you were to compare it to something.
That's true. Climate is what you expect. Weather is what you get, is an old saying there. But Ms. Kinlaw, I'll tell you what, I wouldn't be no better than a Google search on that one. But I do see a question that you asked a moment ago, or someone asked, why does the word meteorologist have the word meteor in it? And that's a great question. I do know the answer to that. That's a fun one. So when you think about a meteor, you're probably thinking about a space rock or something that falls from the sky. And it happens. There's been stories where places on Earth have been hit by meteors. That word comes from an old Greek word. A lot of our words are ultimately Greek and Roman, and they go way, way back. And it's my understanding that the Greeks called anything that fell from the sky meteors. That was just the term for it. So you think about that, rain, sleet, snow are all, and to this day we call them hydrometeors, or they're things that fall from the sky to the earth. So over time the word meteorologists just developed and it stuck, and that's a cool question. Why did you choose to be a meteorologist?
Well, where do I start? I'm actually from up north. I'm from Pennsylvania. So growing up, I didn't really experience many hurricanes. We did have some, but nothing that really stuck in my mind. For me, a couple years ago, this blizzard of 93, I think it was, and then there was another really, really big snow event that kind of just stuck with me for a long time. It's always kind of been like a hobby of mine, something that I just appreciated all the time. But it wasn't really until college that I knew that I could do something, like take a curiosity and turn it into a career. So I guess it was just something I've always had interest in and something I would want to do every single day and learn. There's always something to learn about meteorology, no matter how much you know. There's always something new, always something um, to learn, I guess, every single day. So it's kind of just a love of the weather, to sum it up, really.
That's a cool answer, and I have a similar answer. I mean, you get an interest based on the changing weather, and then there are certain events, like usually big storms, that stick in your mind, and they sort of plant that seed where you like, well, I want to flesh out this curiosity and study whatever that may be. And for us, it was weather. Um,
Severe weather, where do you go?
During severe weather, where do you go? You probably already know this. There are different types of severe weather. A severe thunderstorm, by definition, produces large hail and or damaging winds and or a tornado. If the severe thunderstorm in question is analyzed by a meteorologist, or you get an alert on your app to be a large hail and damaging wind producer, usually the only thing you need to do, and it's important that you do it, is you get inside and probably away from windows as well. By the way, even a non-severe thunderstorm, because of the lightning that's common to all thunderstorms, you want to get off the beach, away from the pool, outside, from the backyard, inside. But a special case would be the thunderstorm that is analyzed to be producing a tornado. If you get a tornado warning, that's a special case. So not only do you want to be inside, but you want to be far as possible away from windows, preferably in the most interior room of wherever you are. If that's home, that's usually a closet or a small bathroom, like in the center. And then, of course, you want to be upstairs if you have 2, 3 stories? No, you want to be downstairs. I don't know how many of you live in a house with a basement. They're kind of rare. Basement is best because that's underground. But if you can't get underground, then it would be the lowest level interior room. And Kelly, they probably practiced this the other week. Maybe you did with the statewide tornado drill. So if you're in like a classroom full of windows for the tornado drill, most schools will urge the kids that everybody get in the hallway. At least there's more walls. Yeah, yeah, and cover up your most important asset, your noggin. So good question there.
I think they mean radar. How long would it take the radar to make a full circle?
How long would it take the radar to make it full circle? That would, for a total scan, it's just kind of a cartoon on TV, like it's just showing you it's working. But one scan will take several seconds. What the radar is actually doing in real life is it's taking a scan and then it's adjusting its elevation a little bit and taking a scan a little higher and then taking a scan a little higher than that and it goes something like 12 to 14 layers. That whole process of scan up and down through the volume of the atmosphere takes 2 to 3 minutes. Some cases, our friends at the National Weather Service can speed that up to like 90 seconds, but in general, we get a full scan of what's going on in radar range in 2 to 3 minutes. And then it'll do it again. If you're a radar, that's what you do all day, every day. You send out a beam, different levels, help us track storms.
Has any part of the studio been destroyed due to severe weather?
Ooh, wow. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of a technicality because we're in WECT building on Shipyard Boulevard in Wilmington, and during Florence, the studio portion of the building sustained no damage, but over in our newsroom and other parts of the building actually had part of the roof peeled back in one of the strongest wind gusts, and so that was damage in and of itself. And then that happened Thursday morning. And then it rained all day Friday. Yeah.
Tornado warning Saturday night.
Yeah, that happened early in the game. So we got like 18 inches of rain on top of the peeled back roof. So then we had water damage.
Yeah.
We're just getting back from that
filling
now.
up big trash cans of water, and it was kind of just a constant in and out of people filling the trash can up, dumping it out, filling it up, dumping it out. And for one of the tornado warnings was right near Carolina Beach and Shipyard Boulevard where we are. So we actually had to take our tornado precautions and we had to go into a brick hallway to make sure that we were okay, because where the studio is, it's on the outer part of the entire building, and it has no windows, but like Gannon just said, you want to move to an interior room if you can. So for us, that's just a further hallway in there. So our studio is okay. We've actually rebuilt the studio a lot, and it's gotten a lot better than it has been since September.
Yeah, for sure. One of the rooms is the room where everyone in the news department meets at least twice a day to sort of flesh out the news stories that we're going to be covering for that day and how we're going to cover them. It's like our editorial meeting room. And for the longest time, the news department was holding their meetings just in the middle of the newsroom. We didn't have a separate area, so it was all, we got to know each other pretty good. But this studio, yeah, Kelly, to your point, I mean, this wall right here, right on the other side of this, the padding and the Duratrans there's just a brick wall, and it's the outside. So during a tornado warning, and there were several confirmed tornadoes in Florence, so each one had the real teeth of reality to them, we had to practice what we preach, and we had to, okay, we'll move temporarily. We'll keep our microphones on because we're not tied down that way. But we need to broadcast from a different part of the building. We had to do that more than once.
I think that's most of the questions. I don't know if they have anything else, or if maybe we skipped one by accident.
Yeah, I'm looking as well. These are great questions. I don't think we skipped any. We appreciate them all. If there's nothing else, yeah. Well, I'll tell you, we had a really good time. We can't see you, but we definitely feel your interest in weather, and we hope your unit's going well, and that you have a really good rest of the day. Miss Kinlaw, if there's nothing else, I'll give you a couple more seconds to kind of wrap this up. Oh, okay. No more questions due to time. Oh, that's right. We are just about 11:30, 11:35. We appreciate you guys too, Miss Kinlaw, and everybody else. And so that's what we'll put a bow on it. We'll say bye-bye. Have a great rest of the day and a great rest of the year. Take care.